Close your eyes. Now imagine. It's the summer of 1920. The world is just coming out of a fourth wave of what will be known as the 1918 Spanish flu. 1/3 of the world population was infected. 500,000 Americans died. An estimated 12 million deaths in India. A total of some 50 million casualties due to H1N1 influenza. At a time when there were no antivirals, in fact no antibiotics, and certainly no vaccine. It took 2.5 years for the virus to take its course and transform into a milder variant, eventually reduced to common seasonal flu. Now, consider where you were 3 years ago. Who could have imagined that you would experience a global pandemic of equally gigantic proportions? So, how well have we fared? What have we learned? Are we better prepared for the future? What challenges still lie before us? COVID-19 has proven to be much more than an illness. The pandemic has totally turned our lives upside down. We assume that everyone, governments, leaders, and civilians, have acted only in good faith with good intentions in mind. Clearly, however, in hindsight, we have made some serious mistakes. Lockdowns, isolations, and quarantines, shutting down schools, closing airports and theaters, canceling concerts, public gatherings, weddings, and funerals have all been imposed. It is still not clear how effective these policies have been in the long-term management of COVID-2. In the short term, these actions have flattened the curve of infection and certainly curbed, at least momentarily, the spread of the disease, and so definitely saved lives. But how will the last year or two of kids having to learn via Zoom affect their education, their psychological well-being, and their development of social skills? These are serious concerns that for the moment remain unanswered. The use and abuse of social media, the spread of fake news and conspiracy theories, false prophets preaching wild cures, such as injection of bleach or unproven miracle drugs, have led to an infodemic, too much information, which is often misinformation. COVID-19 vaccines are truly an amazing technological accomplishment. Their efficient deployment, however, has been complicated, riddled with surprises, conjecture, and false claims. The single most disappointing fact is that although the vaccines are profoundly effective in preventing hospitalizations and deaths, they do not seem to prevent infection and transmission. Traditionally, we've come to expect that a vaccine jab followed by a boost will provide lifelong immunity. With COVID-19, even after 4 injections, people still get infected. The anti-vaxxers have claimed that despite all safety testing, one cannot rule out hypothetical long-term side effects that may develop years from now. Arguments have been made that RNA in itself is dangerous and has never been used before in vaccines. To answer these concerns, suffice it to understand that there are many RNA-containing vaccines. 7 of these are routinely given to kids under the age of 2. All contain replicating RNA, attenuated forms of polio, rotavirus, measles, mumps, rubella, flu, and hepatitis A. All contain full-length RNA genomes, all infect our cells, and all replicate to effectively elicit protective immunity, consequently saving billions of lives, and have been used for over 50 years, and none are associated, none, with any long-term side effects. One major mistake intended to sway policymakers was the Great Barrington Declaration, the concept of simply letting the virus take its course without intervention, the naive belief that this would lead to effective herd immunity through natural infection. Promoters of this concept did not anticipate that natural immunity wanes over time and recurrent breakthrough infection is common. In addition, the emergence of ever more contagious variants of concern would require ever higher percent of the population to be infected to achieve effective herd immunity at the cost of unimaginable numbers of deaths. And although the idea was based on the fact that the elderly suffered most, who could have anticipated long COVID, or PIMS, in many of the younger people who get infected? Clearly, COVID-19 has taught us much, but there are numerous challenges for the future. COVID-2 has taught us a lesson of humility. The idea that coronaviruses are genetically relatively stable and not quick to change due to XON proofreading has led to some complacency and difficulty to accept that viruses generate and select variant after variant with ever more transmissibility. We need to develop more effective vaccines to elicit mucosal immunity, possibly via a live attenuated nasal spray vaccine. We must strive for greater vaccine equity. We need to better accept that pandemics are global, affecting all countries and nations, poor and developed. Everyone needs to have access to vaccines. Everyone has the right to be protected. We must understand that safety will only be achieved when we are all safe.